Life is pain. Oblivion alone yields peace. I call myself salvation.
The love of a god is not a blessing, it's a scar.
If destiny herself beckons me, then I shall greet her like an old lover.
There's gotta be more to life than making mistakes and making up for your mistakes.
I'm the paragon of risk and reward, behaving as more of a suggestion.
Fate is an offer I intend to reject.
You don't know me. I'm unpredictable, bitch.
I don't need to be a paragon to help save the world.
I came back for a reason, and I am not stopping until I find it.
I will solve the cataclysm, and I'll solve the mystery of myself, too. 4 paragons, 4 keepers, 1 stranger. Huh. Odds are in our favor. Now let's go save Endake.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Arc 8, Episode 2 of Transplanar RPG's first main D&D campaign, The Second Stranger. I'm so jazzed to be your creative producer and game master, Connie Chong. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me all across the internet at by Connie Chong. That's BYCONNIECHANG. I'm going to pass along introductions up and over to Austin.
Hey, everybody, I'm Austin. My pronouns are he, they, she. I'm not your game master. I play Abiku Ishtar, whose pronouns are she, they. Abiku is your ranger warlock pal. That's all I got for Abiku. Val?
Hi, everyone! That was a great lead up! I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he and his pronouns, TTRPG performer and Twitch Friday streamer. I don't know why my voice sounds like this, but it sure is. And tonight I have the distinct pleasure of playing Voska, the hottest snady around who uses she, they pronouns and is your college of tea bard. I'm gonna pass introductions up and over to Erica.
Hi, it's me, Erica, she, her pronouns, and I play Vasanti Noxurzo, your draconic elf sorcerer who is trying to, find herself before the world ends completely. And I will pass it on to Max.
Hey, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play Dewey Quirk, who has totally lost himself in this world-ending scenario we've created here on Transplanar. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Starchmonger. And I will pass it to Humna.
Yes, hi, hello. My name is Humna, and I use any and all pronouns. Today, I will be playing John Gother, who uses they, he pronouns, who is not actively dying anymore, thanks to the power of friendship. That's amazing. I love you all very much. And I will pass it up and over to C.
Hello, everyone. My name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I'm playing your misbeloved Okahyan, who's been a paragon for exactly 4.5 days. They're fine. They also use they, them pronouns, and I'm fine. And I am going to pass it back to my beloved Valiant Dorian for a talk about today's sponsor.
I'll be more than happy to talk about today's sponsor for you, see. We are happy and always to announce that this episode of The Second Stranger is sponsored by Dimitri Opines and Explain Trade, a negotiation skills training consultancy believing in the power of D&D and Transplanar's potential to grow, tell great stories, and lift our communities up. Explain Trade trades negotiators for governments, big companies, NGOs, and offers e-learning courses for individuals looking to get a better deal from their boss and not trip up over their sentences at the word negotiators. Check them out at explaintrade.com. And Erica, speaking of people to thank, there's some special folks we want to thank.
Yes. We are going to thank now our Patreon Paragons. These are the folks who have donated at the highest tier, and for that, we thank you so very much. Those folks are Alex, Ozra, Bradley, Brooke Bright, Charles, Chilakras, Cora Eckert, Emma, Hat, Conding, Lex Slater, Purple Mouse, Scruffusus, and Target. Thank you. And now, Max, it's been a while since I got to say this to you. Can you please explain what's happening to Grandma Erica?
You got it, Grandma Erica. Last time on The Second Stranger, the party finds themselves back at Dr. Luce's homestead as the stranger begins to rise out of the chasm. They make a tactical retreat to Toktoa Kagan's vanguard camp, where everyone pours their powers into sealing Mother's blessing and saving Duran's life. As the apocalypse begins, the hounds reunite. Abiku embraces her wife, Dewey and Toktoa have a heart-to-heart, and Vasanti shares some wisdom with Duran. The team gets one night of fitful sleep before being called to answer to the Alliance of the Eight. And you can always use the ! Recap command in the chat to reach our full written recap document. It's got everything you need to know for this arc and for the campaign. And now I'll throw it back to Connie.
You got it. So, at this juncture of our lovely intro, I would love everyone to please make your fate rolls for me, which is a straight or rather gay d20 with no modifiers. So while each of my players figure out their fate, let me bring your attention to the lovely Doom and Fortune tracker here on the overlay. So basically, once per session, our PCs will make a war effort roll to push the tracker back and forth until Doom strikes on one bad end or Fortune smiles on the world on the other end of that tracker. Now, what did all of you get on your fate roll? Let's start with C/Oka.
A handsome 12.
Handsome 12 from Oka. Let's go to Abiku.
I got a 20. I'm taking a picture because I realized it's 2 weeks in a row.
Nat 20?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, let's go to Vlaska.
Vlaska rolled a 15.
15 from Vlaska. Let's go to Vasanti.
Vasanti got a 16.
16 from Vasanti. Let's go to Dewey.
Dewey rolled a 10.
Dewey rolled a 10 right in the middle, and let's go to Duran.
God, Joe LLC bringing it home. Also a 10.
Noted. Thank you all for your contributions to your fate rolls. With that out of the way, C, why don't you tell us about the content warnings for this episode?
You got it, Connie. Content warnings for this episode include fantasy violence, apocalypse, trauma and grief, depictions of war, body horror, gore, blood and bloodletting, death of loved ones, familial struggles, complex and complicated relationships, romance and references to sexual entanglements, monsters and monstrosity, and eldritch abominations. Use !CW in chat to get a look at our content warnings at any time, and !safety to learn about the cast's lines and veils to know what territory we will never get into, no matter how dark things get. And I will pass it right back to you, Connie, for the title and intro of this session.
You got it. So the titles of all of our campaign episodes are named after works of poetry, art by marginalized creators, and for Arcade, I wonder what it's going to be. The title of today's episode is Portents Fold into Abyss, from Eulogy for a Dying World, verse 2, by Connie Chung. And the full verse reads as follows. 天末怀家乡. At the end of the sky, home bursts through longing thoughts. The scholar, slumbering, counts omens against bad grain. Autumn frost chews through sanguine nightmares. Rot empties the inkwell. Black rats ransack scrolls, pulling words into wrong positions. The sleeping scholar's desk is littered with unsent letters. Deep in the courtyard, burning rain lays waste to the hale hawthorn tree. Geese cry home. Wind sighs a bitter breath. 10,000 years of sorrowful knowledge, and yet a hole is found where the answer should be. Alone, the scholar wakes. The bed is emptied, the curtain undrawn. The answer is here at the windowsill, the sky gone black with void. All questions funnel to the same end. All portents fold into abyss. The scholar opens the window and dips their brush in the empty inkwell to write a poem about the end of all things. Emperor Seong of Zhen, the dream-blessed, lord of 10,000 years and paragon of Mengshen Zhidi, presides over the first alliance meeting after the second end of the world. And the Gur is in chaos. Toktoa Kagan pounds a stern fist against a war table. Miniatures topple. Consul Bataval bickers with Duke Sweetbreeze, the Titan person's shark-like teeth flashing against the dark-skinned human man's calm yet tense composure. The silvery form of Princess Kekoa, calling in from a battered Rangapuni island, frets over her scrying bowl as she anxiously rubs at a heavily tattooed forearm. And calling in from Kinongbo, the unbreakable painted face of Lord Henka Oju observes the proceedings. Kane, champion of Nabal, draped in silk robes that bring out the silver of their eyes, props their elbows on the war map, smirking in Elder Pohaku's direction. And this older satyr man has his hirsute hands clasped behind his back and is shaking his head, whipping the braid of his tangled beard. And finally, interrupting this bickering, this bedlam, this barely restrained infighting, Emperor Zhen of Xiong raises a stern, steady hand. Enough. Our panic serves no one, least of all the people we are sworn to protect. Her mismatched eyes, one with triple pupils, the other warmly brown, falls onto the seven of you. Oka, Dewey, Vasanti, Voska, Jiran, Gentle, and Abiku. You are, of course, accompanied by the other Paragons, Rev, Manaya, Old Mama Lightning. Sitlali and Mercy aren't here, as per the Hound's earlier conversation, so that the Keeper of Sen can take a well-deserved rest. It is upon this switching gaze that Emperor Zhen continues. It is undeniable. Dr. Aluso is the avatar of Oblivion, and she is trapped within their shared consciousness. Of course, we are all deeply worried about the good doctor and about the future of Endake. These two ideals can coexist. But we cannot let this news distract us from the war effort. How did the seven of you respond?
So, that sounds pretty bad. But we are all still here. We could still save the doctor. And the world, too. That's important, too.
I think Oka is sitting next to Abiku, and they've been, like, chewing on their knuckle, I think. Like, just kind of, like, cracking it and uncracking it so deep that I think they're actually just, like, playing with the bone in their own body. Necromancers, am I right? They're fine. And they just look up at Abiku as she speaks, I think. We need to get them out somehow, some way to find them, to talk to them. They're still in there, so we can talk to them somehow, right? We can find out a way to talk to them.
Your mother-father looks at you, Oka, sees the worry nodding over your face, sees your eyebrows pushed together, this dark expression falling over your visage, and says, someone well-connected to the good doctor might be able to find them in my realm. The dream realm, the sleeping world. And I think as we hold on your face, we're actually gonna pan over to where Gentle is standing. And from Gentle's perspective, we see this thread beam out of Oka's chest, a glowing golden thread, I think woven through with silver, the same silver of Oka's soul, extending up out the ceiling of this hide-covered gur. And there's an intuitive understanding tugging both on Gentle and on you, Voska, as Paragon of Nebuza, that of all the tethers, I think, to all the people here, Dr. Aluso's string threading them to Oka is perhaps one of the strongest. And it still stands. It's still there. It hasn't been severed.
I think Voska is observing this meeting, and she is quiet for now, as everything meaningful that she needs to assert has already been spoken. And once the threads align, and she's noticing Gentle, Oka, and Dr. Aluso's thread as well, I think she finally pipes up. I think that is an excellent idea. Her attachment to you is still there.
Right. One problem. I'm a horrible fucking dream interpreter. And they like glance sideways at their mother father really fast before looking back at Vaska. I need help. Maybe a dream grifter? Wangguotian, Wuming even. If we had help, somebody, Halo could train me. Halo could train me. And we could try to talk to them. Right?
At that, Halo steps forward. And she is, of course, the snow-colored tiefling with all of her edges, this nice rosy pink, tiefling prophet of the royal Tulongin court and the keeper of Mengshen Zhudi. And right now, her fluff-topped tail is currently swishing in some anxiety. But when she looks at you, Oka, she speaks evenly. I can certainly train you, Oka, to be able to forward your dreams with some dexterity, but I fear that anything more adept than that will be akin to teaching a fish to walk.
You do always have a way with words with me, Halo, don't you? Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yes, I do believe that my keeper aligned with anyone who might have a way in with this Wu Ming. And your mother-father, Oka, their gaze falls upon Gentle, could perhaps collaborate to find a way forward. But there's more than just the matter of reaching the good doctor. Ever since the second cataclysm struck, there have been reports of powerful, empty beasts, the likes of which we'd never seen before, menacing every corner of Endake. There seem to be 8 in total. Some perverse mockery of our gods. And as paragons and keepers, we need to be out on the battlefield. We don't have time to waste. We need to protect our people and our homes from these entropic beasts.
We also need to find a way to protect all of the paragons' souls. And I think Duran has been sitting down throughout this whole meeting, probably still a bit too worn out to really stand or exert any sort of energy, probably like leaning up against somebody else that is sitting next to them, like maybe Dewey is sort of like nearby and he's just kind of like leaning up against them. These empty beasts, these particularly strong ones you say, I worry that we may not know what we're up against, and we have to have some sort of way to make sure that the paragons that their souls don't get fed to that seed.
At that, Elder Pohaku actually speaks up, raises, I think, his bearded throat. Duran is right. After all, we've just learned that the Paragon prophecy is a lie. And Halo cuts in, actually averting her gaze, her eyes fall down, and she says, I think addressing the floor almost, right? Her halo-shaped horns weighing heavy on her head. I failed you all, and for that I am so sorry. I failed to recognize this falsehood, and there are no apologies that can... Halo, it is not your fault. Not even the God we share could recognize the lie woven into our reality. Besides, there is a thread of hope. All 8 paragons, we still live. It is not too late. Pardon me. And at that, old Mama Lightning actually gets up from the cushion she was kneeling on, and she's leaning really hard on her cane, her wrinkled face smiling and steady. You all have much to discuss, especially in the vein of alternatives to Paragon death, I'm sure, so I'll keep my piece brief. The prophecy's a lie. We all know that now, which means we, as Paragons, have no obligation to sacrifice ourselves to save Endake. In fact, if we did sacrifice ourselves, then the stranger would win. So, effective immediately, I resign. And she throws down an emblem of the Alliance onto the war table. I am going to protect myself and mine. Dabathati needs me. The guild needs me. Those are my people. No one else. I wish you all the best of luck. Goodbye.
Good day.
No, wait.
I thought she was quitting being a paragon. Biku says to Oka.
Oka's like slack-jawed, and then I think like this little spark of rage, like they stand up. What the fuck are you talking about? You're turning your back on all of us.
And she pauses as she was in the middle of literally turning her back on the entire alliance, and she sort of says over her shoulder, I don't understand what the grievance is. The only reason I agreed to join this in the first place was under the false assumption that the sacrifice of our lives are required to protect Endake. And now that that has been proven to be a falsehood, I don't owe any of you anything.
I did not walk around all of Endake for nearly a year with Vanash in my fucking soul just for you to turn around now and hide in a little hole in the ground.
Old Mama Lightning smiles at you, I think kind of widely, showing a big toothy grin. Of course, well that's because you're a hero. I'm just an old woman. And a criminal. I don't owe the world anything the way that you heroes do. And I think actually standing up is Kane. You selfish, bitter, old woman. You are gifted with divine power some of us can only dream of attaining, and you use it like this? All of us are risking our lives to protect each other, to protect you. Oka risked their life to protect yours from the chrysalis, while, I might add, again, laboring under the false assumption that my life would have to be offered up at a later date as a sacrificial lamb. Don't forget where you came from, Kane. We drink from the same well. Not anymore, you wretched cockroach. The thing about cockroaches, Kane, I know. You survive, don't you? And that's all that matters to you. That's all you care about. I was going to say, the thing about cockroaches is we don't owe anyone anything. Now, if that's all, I'd like to go back to Vasanti and protect my people with Suraksha's magic. Or is anyone else going to get in my way?
I think Voska is supporting her lower back as she's listening to all of this. And she says, You are right. Certainly you have no great contractual obligation that keeps you here. You are no longer beholden to a false prophecy. But what will you do instead? Run away to a hole in the ground where I saw Tungal. I witnessed with my very eyes the effects of the empty and what it would wreak upon the world. And let me tell you this, and Voska's that reminiscent viciousness that was shown in Arc 7 is peeking through. There is nowhere you can hide. And unfortunately, the only thing that can protect you is if all of us work together.
At all of that, all of you feel static, beginning to spark inside the war tent, little pinpricks of red lightning, jumping to life, threading between Dovrenye Litso's wrinkled fingers. And she says with that smile still on her face, I'll take my chances. And there's a bolt of lightning rams down through the war tent and strikes her, leaving a massive scorch mark on the floor. There's like the smell of iron and burning copper fills all of your nostrils. Your like feathers and hair like stands on end, and Old Mama Lightning is gone. And there's a hole in the ceiling of the gar.
Oka shoves themselves back down into their seat, crosses their arms, looks sideways at Abiku, and is like, Vanash never fucking let me do that.
You look upset. Are you okay?
No.
Okay.
Drawn is right. We're actually not allowed to die this time, right? Is that how we've all come back around here? So we need a failsafe And Oka looks at Dewey. When you first made the God Jar, we were planning for it to be a failsafe, but it wouldn't work to save me when the Paragon Killer punched my soul out because you would have needed to kill me in a violent and terrible way. I get the feeling that if we already had the aspect of dying in a violent and terrible way, a failsafe like what you proposed initially would be helpful.
Didn't you all try and dissuade me from this for like a year? And also, I'm out a Paragon weapon. I don't have Forge with me. I can't help
Dewey,
you.
you didn't have Forge with you the first time either.
And look how well that went.
Well, this time you're not alone.
And you forget that you did save my life. More than once.
Dewey looks around the table for someone else to take his side in this, but seeing that no one is going to discredit his work, I guess, at this meeting, he sighs. So what? More God jars?
Oka pulls out of their pouch a golden chisel, and they kind of thump it into the table in the middle of the meeting. What about something like that? A bond. So if we die, instead of going toward the seed, it goes towards that. Like a net in the ocean. Vaska, could it work?
Do I know if it works?
I think the theory is valid. Theoretically, it should work. It would just depend on the execution. Like, you would need a really skilled artificer to make something that would attract the soul toward it instead of the seed.
I think you see Vaska thinking, and she, looks up at all of you and she says, "We are working in the realm of the theoretical. And like our last venture into the realm of the theoretical," she looks at Dewey, "we are going to need a skilled hand on this. And if we were to all aid you, I could certainly help with my soul magician background. We could do it."
Toktoa crosses her arms and chimes in, looking over at Dewey in a way that none of you have ever seen her look at Dewey before, and it takes you a minute because it's so unfamiliar on her face. It takes you to register that it's respect. And she goes, "Well, Cardew Quirk, you will of course be aided by the best blacksmiths and artificers, weavers, tools in all of Endake. They will be at your disposal. I know you don't have Forge anymore, but who needs a single god weapon when you still have Galtanger in your soul and all of Endake behind you, right?"
I'll do my best.
We, should talk about the plan while Cardew works on Godjar 2.0? Halo chimes in, threading her fingers together over her waist. There should be some sort of a way, I think, to keep the stranger busy, at least until Dewey is done making these bonds, these tethers, these anchors, and we also still need a way to hold out until the other precepts arrive to save us.
I think Vasanti at this clears her throat, actually. This whole time she's just been listening and twirling a gold coin in her fingers. If I've learned anything from my years of stealing and manipulating people, it's that a good distraction is all you ever need. If you want to steal a piece of gold from the left pocket, you have to approach someone from their right side. So if we all perhaps split up and go to different areas of Endake and, create distractions for the stranger, get the stranger's attention over here, get his attention over there, get the attention in this corner. If we can keep doing that just long enough to distract it while Dewey works on that, maybe also trying to reach Dr. Aluso, we could buy ourselves a little bit of time to get all of this taken care of until we're ready for whatever the next step is after that.
That seems rather sound, actually, Vasanti.
Yes, that's actually a pretty good idea, Vasanti. I do like the thought of you Paragons using yourselves as bait.
Well, I never
You
said
would,
that.
Kane.
Well, all right, sign me up. If it's a distraction we want, I can curate the finest distractions Endake has ever seen.
I'm sorry. How do we know the other precepts are coming to save us?
We sent them a message. Ideally, they respond.
But how do we know they'll want to save us? Aren't they all like siblings or something? Like, I don't know how it works. Why would they want to help us?
And at that, Konso Bataval actually speaks up, like raises their big, like hammerhead shark-like head, and says, "We don't know. We don't know what the nature of their relationship to Oblivion is. We don't know if they would actually be allies to each other. We don't know if they would even come at all. Like I was trying to tell Elder Pohaku here earlier, strongly believe we should not put all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak. We have to hold out for the possibility that they won't arrive. Or if they do, help might not look the way we want it to look. Which is why I think reaching out to the doctor in the dream realm also needs to be pursued. Maybe there's a way we can, I don't know, figure out one of Oblivion's weaknesses while the doctor is inside their consciousness."
She doesn't have weaknesses.
Everyone has a weakness.
She's not everyone.
They aren't a person.
But Lilith is, right? If anything were to be the stranger's weakness, maybe it's her. Impatience, perhaps? We could convince them that this little game of keep away isn't actually worth their time. Find some way to meet on a more level ground.
Lilith. And this is Princess Kakoa, who speaks up through like the silvery mist of the scrying bowl. She has always been a brilliant genius. That's why my mother funded her research, supported her ascent through the URL. But I think Oka is onto something there. Lilith has always been arrogant. That's something I always suspected every time we met over political dinners. Besides, the URL right now, all of Nawa Island is ablaze. It is in chaos. There might be a way for us down here to figure out a way to enlist the emissary's help.
Well, maybe we can do both at the same time. When we're all separated, and as Vasanti suggested, in different parts of Endake, we could find the emissaries there. Talk to them.
With their help, yes, certainly. That would work. I have not met this Lilith. What kind of ploy can we bring her to? What games does she play?
She's apathetic, can tell you that. But she can look at you, know everything about you. She likes to break people down, so use that, I guess.
Rev speaks up. Arms crossed over her chest. Like Vasanti, she's just been listening this entire time. But now she raises her jaw. She won't fall for an obvious trap. She's too smart for that. She has to think she's moving in for the kill. It has to be convincing. If there's real fear involved, real risk, I think she'll come.
Like we have to send someone alone or something?
Or we put ourselves all together.
Exactly.
I hate to suggest this, because we just said real danger, but there's nobody that Lilith would want to play with more than Dewey, I think.
Great. We turn me into bait 2.0. Great. I love this.
Only if you want to, only if you're willing to.
Want is a funny word, Jaron. But I see the value in this.
Then it's decided, says Toktoa, I think thumping her fist down on the war table. After Cardew is done making God Jars 2.0, we will thrust him into the heart of the beast.
So much for respect.
I respect you enough to know that you can get out of it alive, Cardew.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
If she's apathetic, what about something loud? Something she couldn't ignore?
Kane! perks up and says, like a fashion show? No. That's a little too on the nose. How about a concert?
I think Voska, like, this look that she gives Kane from across the table where it's just a sideways glance. And she goes,
We can be loud, certainly. Be distracting. The brightest Rosso has to offer.
Yes,
Bright
we
colors
can.
of red and gold.
I'm seeing streamers. I'm seeing holographic projections of the Paragon's greatest victories. I'm seeing a party for the literal end of the world that the stranger can't ignore. And all the headliners are the 8 of you.
We return with the bodies of our quarries, these empty beasts from all over Endake, as we all, each paragons, turn the minions of the stranger piecemeal.
Fucking piss me off.
Yes, we'll slaughter these entropic beasts and mount their heads on pikes.
Kane.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Wait, so you think for the distraction it should be like a party?
Yes, there's nothing more irresistible than a party you haven't been invited to.
This is true. She does like to crash office parties, and no one really wanted her there.
That's the end of the campaign right there.
That's one way to put it.
We can't top that. We can't top that. No more.
That's canon now.
She's evil and loves office parties.
And Emperor Zhen speaks up. So, to recap, Cardu will build the second version of a god jar, a safe haven for the souls of the Paragons in the event that we do die, which is very likely. There are 8 of us after all. While this is happening, the rest of us slay, capture these entropic beasts, and otherwise distract the stranger from focusing on any one of us indiscriminately. As this all happens, Oka, Gentle, Wooming, myself, and Halo attempt to ford the Dream Realm to contact Dr. Aluso and see if there are any hidden weaknesses of Oblivion, of Lilith, of any of this. And finally, we lure Lilith, and perhaps also the stranger, to us in a grand display via the Paragon End of the World concert. We'll workshop the title. We'll workshop the name of the festival, but it's there. The Paragon concert. Yes, the Paragon concert. Am I missing anything?
Well, I had a question for Taktoa.
Yes, Abiku, what is it? War plans, ideas for how to reassemble our troops?
Well, I was just wondering what we were.
What do you mean, like, we're keepers?
No, like, so I was talking to Shuni, my wife, and, you know,
I'm aware.
If you still, it's the end of the world, but I don't know if you thought about what I said the last time we talked.
I'm not... Ishtar, I'm not sure what you're referring to, unless you mean the partitioning of rations between Camp Vanguard and the other camps scattered across Endake, in which case I agree there should be a more equitable distribution of supplies.
No, I mean the last time that we stayed together for like a week, no, did you forget? I forget things all the time. But
yes, the last time you were here in Kirtal when we talked strategy, when we bonded over discussing strategy for a week or two.
Yeah, so things were a little weird. I don't know. So I was just wondering, if you would like to explore that more.
A vein is popping up on the side of Taktoa's neck, and her jaw is clenched so tight, and every single Alliance member is looking between her and you, and like, Princess Kikoa, like, slowly raises her hands to her mouth and covers it, and Emperor Genepsion just sort of averts her gaze, and Lord Henka Oju, though her face is steely as always, all of you swear you see, like, the smallest hint of a smirk creep onto her face. Biku Ishtar, alliance meetings aren't really the appropriate place to discuss personal matters. And besides, there's nothing to discuss.
Well, they said if anyone had any more questions.
Well, about the war. Ishtar.
I don't, it just
Maybe we should be done. Maybe we should all get up
Agreed.
and go. All of us should get up and go. No, you should stay. But all of us should get up and go.
Let them finish. No.
Yeah, no, I'm listening for this. This is important strategy.
Voska staring daggers at Toktoa, waiting for a real response to what Abiku has just said. The tent has gotten 5 degrees colder.
Toktoa rubs her arms and goes, anyone else feeling a little weirdly chilly? No, but Ishtar, there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing to discuss. I am aware of what you brought up earlier, but this is not really, this isn't the appropriate, we have work to do. Everyone, we have entropic beasts to hunt. Dewey, you have a whole thing to make. Maybe I can come and help you make it?
You sure?
You're not good with tools.
I know my way around a blacksmith's forge.
That's one way to put it.
I'm not having this conversation with you. Ishtar,
Abiku
here.
leans in. It is very cute when you get so mad. You should talk to me later.
Toktoa stares at you silently and then straightens and goes, my horses! And she turns and just strides out of the tent. Just completely leaves.
I think Abiku, I lean over the Oka. It's always the horse excuse.
I think my elk is making a noise. I need to go too.
Abiku, Dewey pipes up. She wanted me to tell you that she was interested. Not sure if that came across.
Thank you, Dewey.
And from outside the tent, all of you hear Toktoa's voice shout, shut the fuck up, Car, do not know!
I think that went well.
Thank you, Drun.
The temperatures return to normal.
And I think on that, we close down on this scene. And when we fade up the dial again once more, we see the broad, sloped tops of hide-covered gurs populating the entire southern horizon of Kirtal as far as the eye can see. Tents, shacks, shanties, bonfires, stables, stalls, and huts dotting Camp Vanguard, festooned in the 8-fold banner of the Alliance. Bang! A hammer smashes against the molten hot steel of a future blade. We pan up to see the blacksmith, a very large, very heavily scarred woman wearing an apron and big, thick leather welding gloves. She brings the hammer down again. Bang! Smoke curls upward into the blood-red sky, puffing in black clouds from a nearby furnace. The foul, acrid smells coil from a tanning rack nearby with a leather strip of skin stretched between its wooden rack. Work benches litter a sparse clearing in a loose semicircle populated by metalworkers and weavers. And one of these laborers, one of these artificers, rather, is a dark-skinned human woman. She's fat and athletic, and her face is round and focused, and right now a pair of brass goggles are covering her dark brown eyes as she's picking, I think at a length of twine with magically glowing tweezers, and then dipping it into some sort of strange acidic substance as it bubbles and bubbles and bubbles, and strange clouds come up from the twine. And sweat dripping down her face, Tonga sighs sadly, frustratedly, raises the goggles and looks over to you, Dewey. Dewey, Cardew, I think we need a stronger solvent than dichloromethane if we want to imbue any of our materials with soul magic. What do you think?
It would. I just don't know where the supply chain has been all messed up, so I don't know when we can get it in. The one I wanted to use is really not working.
It's just too unstable. I mean, you wouldn't want, let's say, Voska's soul to suddenly split into like 10 different parts like Oka's soul, would you?
No, that would decidedly be bad.
It'd be
I
really
think-
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's counting on us to make this right.
I know. I just want to do right by everyone.
Yeah, I do think we have to wait for the next shipment of supplies, though. They should be getting here tonight, and we have been working on this literally all day since the Alliance meeting yesterday. Maybe we can take a quick lunch break?
Yeah, when was the last time you ate or slept?
And she checks this, like, watch that actually pops up to have 3 different layers to it. Like, it comes out like a clockwork machine, and she, like, twiddles at some of the cogs. 29 hours ago.
No, Tonga.
Huh? What?
And Dewey like grabs her by the shoulders and like pulls her away from the forge.
And her face actually gets a little red as you grab her and like pull her away. She says very quickly, like a little high pitched to the giant blacksmith lady, "Oh, we're gonna be taking like a 5 minutes. We're gonna be taking 5 minutes away. Just gotta do the bye, Garu." You got it. Bang, bang, bang.
You gotta take better care of yourself. Come on. Like I know it's. the end of
I
the
could say
world.
the same for you, Cardu. When was the last time you ate something more nourishing than a carrot?
I had a cucumber yesterday.
A cucumber? You know those vegetables are like 80% water, right?
Don't get on me about my eating habits. Let's go find something. Let's go over to the mess area.
All right, sounds good. And I think we follow the two of you as you like cut through all of these soldiers moving through the camp to this like big tented area, one of the many, I think, mess halls that's been set up at Camp Vanguard. And the delicious smells of roasting meats and vegetables and soup and like chefs banging like huge blades against chopping boards and shouting orders, I think, over the roar of fire and like the howling of like sizzling oil and water and whatnot. And I think the two of you are able to like jostle and find like a seat at the end of like a long bench. And I think we find the two of you with like big steaming bowls of rice in front of you and like various kinds of like family style little entrees.
Thanks for helping me with this and coming out here on such short notice. I didn't mean to pull you away from your shop, your work.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I just, wow. You don't really realize how hungry you are until you start eating. You know what I mean? But yeah, absolutely. Xiaohu's been taking care of the championship and insisted that I come because it's important for me to put my talents to use here with you. You know, this is big stuff. This is world-saving stuff. So of course, Cardu, anything for you, for the world.
Well, I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. You too.
Thanks. You too.
I'm
It's
sorry,
just
I interrupted. Go ahead. You were saying something.
Oh, it's just nice to have someone to talk to that's, not also like directly involved in the Paragon stuff. Like I'm not directly responsible for keeping their lives intact, and also isn't my kid, and also isn't my ex-wife.
Yeah. Hey, I was able to talk to Hana earlier today. She seems to be feeling more positive about you, at least. Ualani still has a bone to pick, though.
Yeah, that might be the case for quite some time, I think.
Yeah, your ex-wife is... Whew.
But Hana, how'd you like meeting her for the first time?
Oh, she's a great kid. It's truly ridiculous to see that this child has grown up to be such a promising young woman. She's a genius. You know that,
really
of course.
Yeah, I have a hard time keeping up with her plans when she's reading them off to me. Oh my gosh. I don't know, reminds me a lot of when I first started working with you, so.
Yeah, she's probably smarter than me already. And obviously she's been helping with our whole thing, and I'm so grateful for her help. I can't believe she pointed out like the inaccuracy in my calculation last night.
Yeah, she's sharp and also not afraid to correct people, which it's
like. Very refreshing. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to a teenager who's got, her head screwed on straight. But speaking of screws and, how are you with your whole, I know Forge is gone, obviously. So I just wanted to check in about, that.
Yeah, so that's not great. So Lilith has Forge, I think.
But Forge is indestructible, right? Like, as long as you're alive, you can't get rid of it?
That's what I'm worried about.
What do you mean?
I don't even want to think about what Lilith is doing with it.
Then let's not think about what Lilith is doing with Forge. It's probably very bad. If I were her, I'd try to like reverse engineer like an evil Forge. But
let's not.
We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, it's just hard because that's all my life's work in one creation, sort of.
Oh, Cardew, it's not your whole life's work in one creation.
It feels like it.
You've made other incredible things without a literal god weapon before, and you will again in the future when we win this.
I kind of have to if we want to win this, though. So everything's on the line.
I know, but you don't just need Forge, Dewey. You're brilliant yourself, okay? Your mind. You're a genius, just like Hana. You've got incredible abilities, even outside of your divine powers. You can help just as a person too.
It's been a while since I've been able to be just a person, Dewey. You know. But you're right, and I have all of you. I have you and Hana and all of my friends, and they're. If nothing if not capable, so.
You're right. You've got all of us. You've got me, you've got Hana, you've even got Uolani, though I know she's reluctant. She does still care about you, Dewey. I can tell when I talk to her. And obviously we've got our helpers too. There's Garu, and she definitely knows what she's doing, and the researchers from the URL, what were they, Doctors Pelpone and Sato? They've been helping too.
There's no way we could fail with everyone's hard work.
You're right. We're all in this together, Cardew. You're not alone. We're here for you. I'm here for you. And she reaches across the table and holds your hand.
Dewey takes it in a soft moment. He's stopped like shoveling rice into his mouth for a moment here. Wait, you talk to my ex-wife a lot? You talk to Uolani?
Oh, I think we're done eating. Do you want to get back to work?
Tell me what she says about me.
Come on, Cardew. And she like grabs you and like starts pulling you away from like the mess hall, right? And I think like as you like leave this eating area to go back to the forge area, we pan across the mess hall where there's tons of soldiers and workers and laborers and staff like just eating and working and talking. And we see in the middle of all of this a familiar falcon-like Aarakocra standing there, I think, with a tray of food, like had been on the way to that table but paused as soon as Zephyr saw Dewey and Tonga holding hands.
You can't do this, Dewey!
And Zephyr takes in a deep breath, sort of nods to himself, smiles wistfully, turns and sits somewhere else. Dewey, we follow you now back to the forging area with Garu, with Doctors Pelpone and Sato. You even see Hana helping Garu out by the anvil. And by helping, I mean she's actually standing there looking up at this huge muscular woman with like sparkles in her eyes. And as soon as you like come back, like she kind of like runs over to where you and Tonga are, sort of like leading you by your wrist. And she just goes, hey, Dad, how many weights do you think I'd have to lift to get that buff?
I think you could do it. It might take a little bit, but is that something you want to get into that?
I don't know. Maybe after we save the world. After we save the world, I want to get really big. Anyway, and she goes back to like the forge and like continues to help Garu. And Tonga sort of like laughs at that and like lets go of your wrist. And I think like on the fringes of this, sort of in the background of everything you're doing, we see like on the edges of this camp just various spellcasters positioned on consistently spaced apart daises surrounding the entire circumference of the tent, and they all seem to be channeling some sort of a magical power. And every now and then, in the blood red drenched crimson sky, we'll see one of those eyes power up basically and shoot shoot like a pillar of pure concentrated void empty magic down at Camp Vanguard, but it'll hit some sort of magical force field and sort of disperse, like plasma bouncing off the surface of a glass sphere. And whenever that happens, one of the various spellcasters will grimace and brace a little bit and stagger, and immediately, like a substitute, will step up and take their place and continue channeling. So even amidst this like cheerful talk between yourself and Tanga and Hana and Garu, there is still, I think, like this backdrop, rumbling, ever-present reminder of war brimming all around you. Speaking of which, Dewey, I need you to see how well you can affect this war yourself. So I'm going to say this is your war effort roll, and you're using it to build Godjar 2.0, right? So make an intelligence check and add your proficiency bonus.
24.
Noted. And on that, we're gonna fade down on Camp Vanguard. This time of year, Atatukai Wood is bare, bereft of forage and game. Winter moss insulates the trunks of tall, proud cypress trees. Red pines climb heavenward, fanning their empty branches toward a vermilion sky. As Atatukai bleeds into the eastern edge of the god spine, the earth slopes up, down, forming mountainous, forested terrain. And nestled between the trunk of an ancient cedar and the slope of the god spine itself, we find the entrance to an old cave. Upon first glance, this entrance is fairly unremarkable. A plain, misshapen opening of craggy rock and rime-slick boulder. The home to an owlbear, a displacer beast, a manticore, perhaps. But upon closer inspection, we see scorch marks. Old, black burns streaking across granite. It is here, at the entrance to Vasanti Noksherzo's first life, that we find Abiku Shrini and Vasanti herself. I think at this point, Shrini kind of drops her traveling pack onto the ground and turns to face you, Abiku, and you, Vasanti. And her eyes are dark and serious. Vasanti, are you quite sure you want to try shifting for the first time here?
Vasanti is looking at this cave entrance, and it's amazing how much something can change in 90 years since coming back. And you can see her eyes getting a little bit glassy, one purple eye, one green eye. Not crying, but definitely feeling some emotions. Looking at the, there's maybe some new sapling of trees around the edge of the mountain. There's vines hanging off of the rock, and she takes a moment and says, I can think of no better place. Oh, is this hurt at all? What can I expect from this?
Well, I have only done it twice, but it is like feeling a lot of things at the same time, but like big. You know, when you have a very long day and then you stub your toe and it feels like the world is caving in, it's like that. But it's also like when you have a very long day and you get home and you get to lay down in your bed, it's also like that.
It's a very intimate experience, Vasanti. Abiku filled me in about everything that happened at the Iron Citadel. And so I'm sure maybe your father explained maybe a little bit of what shifting took. But just to be clear, it does entail a lot of trust. Trust in yourself, and especially trust in the people who are showing you how to shift. The first time is... I barely remember it through my shattered memory. It's scary. The person who taught me how to shift was my mother, and I trusted her with my life, and it was still scary. you have to be very secure. You have to be very stable. You have to know who you are, and you have to believe in yourself. And if being here is going to help you tap into that, then I suppose I can understand.
I am the daughter of Paya Nakshurzo. I am the daughter of a long line of draconic mages. And I am a paragon.
Good. Well, I'm glad you have that confidence. I mean, no matter what happens, we're definitely going to draw that thing's attention. And Shrini sort of turns and looks deeper into Aratukai Wood, where, we're actually going to pan away from this cave and, look at these tall stalks of cedar and pine and cypress and oak. And though we don't see the entropic beast of Jukai here, we do hear it. It is the entropic beast that has been, of course, made to hunt the god shard of Sen. And what we do hear of it are these strange, echoing whispers threading through the mists of this mixed forest here. We hear a familiar voice to you, Vasanti, familiar from the depths of Tulong, coil up, go, Oka? Oka, are you there? Can you come home, please? Oka? Yaya's voice, and another voice layered over it, go, Oka, you left us the first time. We need you now. Please, just come home already, okay? Stop struggling against this inevitable end. Toya's voice. Another voice, uncertain, intelligent, and yet anxious. Oka, there's no way for us to think our way out of this, okay? Just come back to us. Liangya's voice. And of course, their mother's voice. Arden's, low and warm and somber, mutilated, perverted, almost beyond recognition, but still there. Oka, my child, please. I know what you've done. I know the lie you told me to keep me here, and I forgive you. Just come home. Come home. Come home. Come home. All of these voices layered over each other, threading through the mists. And Shrini turns back to Abiku and Vasanti and goes, well, yes, we'll definitely get its attention.
Well, I did want to ask, are you sure you are up to do this, my love? It is a lot coming out of as someone who also,
Yes, well, yes, I was embedded in a wall for a year. And though it was the right thing to do to keep the seed in Tonga for as much as I could, it took a big toll. Took a really big toll on me, Abiku. So I haven't shifted since I came back. But I remember how. And I know you have, my love.
Yes, but I did not have anyone teach me, as you know. I just sort of did it, and then I did it again. So I am a bad teacher, because I just sort of did it, and so far nothing bad has happened. So don't do it like me, probably.
Yes, Vasanti, anchor yourself to that conviction. Anchor yourself to your connection to this place. Because, like we've said over and over again, shifting is very dangerous. You need that complete control. You need that complete trust, or else, well, you monsterize.
Oh, no pressure then, huh? No pressure at all.
There's actually quite a bit of pressure, yes.
Abiku, you're not helping?
Oh, sorry. I mean, no pressure.
Confidence. We're trying to work on confidence, not this. You're going.
I'm just. Sometimes pressure is good because it tells you something's important. Yes.
Yes. This is important. Oh, okay. Oh God. Okay, I can do this. Confidence.
Wait. Abiku, you, between the two of us, are the only one who's shifted since you came back. And I know it was intuitive and instinctual for you, but Vasanti, before you shift, Abiku, maybe you can help guide her a little bit more? Give her something tangible to hold on to?
Oh, and I think Abiku puts her hands out and summons Grim. Well, hopefully she does not need this right now, but I think it could help you.
Vasanti, I think, takes Grim from Abiku for a moment, and like, it's so strange to see Grim not in Rev's hands that Vasanti's almost like it's just surreal for her. And then she sort of like, almost in a very ritual-esque way, like holds it flat out across both hands and like closes her eyes, thinks about Rev for a moment, and then sort of like hands it back in the same manner to Abiku just to hold on to while Vasanti tries to engage in what she's about to engage in. Is there any more advice before I try to do this?
I think you can do it.
That's helpful, thank you.
Yes, believe in yourself.
And with that, I think Vasanti looks back into the cave, and for a moment, sort of like all of her childhood of Paya describing to her about how she's part of this lineage, and, you know, talking about how powerful her family is, and all this stuff is coming into her mind, and she's starting to feel the weave sort of churning inside of her. And I think she actually steps into the mouth of the cave a little bit, and you start to see some green glowing off of her, and it gets brighter and brighter, and then it shifts into purples and greens, and it's going faster and faster until it's just purples and greens spiraling in every direction. And she's going to attempt to shift for the first time.
Okay, these are going to be your war effort rolls, Abiku and Vasanti. So Abiku, to assist Vasanti's shifts, I'll let you either make an Arcana check for summoning Grim, a Religion check for a connection to the Raven Queen, or a Persuasion, like Charisma check to help steady Vasanti, your pick. And Vasanti, you're either going to have to make a Arcana check yourself to sort of stabilize the magic, or an Insight check on your own emotional stability.
17?
Okay.
18 for religion.
Noted. Abiku, you and Shrini watch as these colors flit and twine and swirl around Vasanti's form until she no longer has any sort of expression or detail. She's just like a glowing silhouette of like flashing purples and greens and whites and reds and golds and browns, and Shrini immediately shouts, "Something's wrong!" And she's gonna like start to like run forward, but there's like a blast of magic that propels her away from Vasanti. And Vasanti, we're gonna like pan into your consciousness, and you can feel your magic ribboning out of control. It's like you've like removed the logs of a dam, and now all of it is like gushing out past this bottleneck, and there's no way for you to control it. You could try to stop her, but it'd be like trying to hold back a flood with your fingers. You know, this magic is just gushing, and in the cave is starting to swirl. We see lightning explode, we see fire, we see like these clouds of mist like also come out and plume outward from Vasanti, all kinds of pure, raw, unadulterated magic just filtering out of her. And Abiku, in that moment, I think, you're realizing that if this goes on for any longer, Vasanti is going to monsterize, and there will be like little to no way to bring her back. But Abiku, in that instance, because of your connection to the Raven Queen, because of your connection to the realm of death, to the after, you feel something. As Vasanti's magic destabilizes, within it, you feel a presence? Some sort of, well, I need you to make an Arcana check for me, please.
19.
Okay. This is not a war effort roll, so the DC is lower. So with a 19, it's just a regular skill check, my friends. You feel that presence flickering and glitching in and out of the magic that's like wildly surrounding Vasanti feels ancestral.
Okay, I want to use the Silver Eye.
Yeah,
I want to call Silver Eye and whip them into this maelstrom of magic to try to use my keeper power to anchor whatever spirit this is to help Vasanti.
Oh, I love that! Why don't you have inspiration for that? Fluttering into existence next to you in a flurry of black feathers is a raven. And you've commanded Silvereye to fly into this maelstrom, and they do. As they hurtle forward, you hear them go, "Hey, big lady, what am I? Gods!" As they just get sucked into this whirlwind of pure fire exploding out of Vasanti's body. And we see from Silvereye's perspective just hurtling around and around and around and around. They're going, "Oh, gods! Okay, all right, I got this. Hey, big lady, there's someone else in here. Look!" And I think you can see through Silvereye's eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you peer through Silvereye's eyes, you and Vasanti and Silvereye, the three of you, see at the same time a ghostly form beginning to flicker into existence in the eye of the storm, so to speak, in front of Vasanti. Vasanti, you see a woman's form. She's got this long hair that's glitching in and out behind her. You can't see her expression yet, but she's tall, she's graceful, she's strong. Something about her figure feels familiar to you. It's almost like looking into a mirror, but not quite. There are some details that are a little bit off. And Vasanti, you hear your aunt's voice, threaded into clarity from Silvereye's magic, pulling her from beyond the grave, go, "Not like this. Not here." And she holds out like a glowing hand, and I think she punches her palm into your sternum. And Vasanti, as you fly back, you and Abiku both see the maelstrom break, and behind you, we see not even the cave, but hundreds, if not thousands of past ancestors of you both. Titans just in a line, all the way down to infinity. It seems literally like the Avatar cycle. Like you see dozens and dozens and dozens of them in ghostly form just behind you as you're punched backward. And then when your left heel finally connects with the ground and you stabilize, it's gone. That vision is gone.
Is there still sort of this magic at all still there? Because if so, what I would like to try to do is channel it into another spell, just to like use it for something.
Okay, yeah, what kind of spell are you trying to do?
I think Vasanti is going to take this moment of like being back and seeing everything around her and seeing this maelstrom of magic still swirling in front of her. She's gonna like, you see her draconic mage hand pop out as her bracer like lights up, and you see her like try to grab it almost and pull it into the ground, and you feel the shaking. There's tremors all around them, and I would like to cast Meteor Swarm, but I want to flavor it as a giant spectral dragon head comes out of the ground. I'm talking huge. I'm talking as high up as you can see, as it starts just spitting 4 meteors, aka fireballs, into like around this forest and the god spine, and just getting that magic out somewhere else.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna ask you to make like an Arcana check to see how well you can control this to limit collateral damage, and to see if you will hit your quarry.
Is there any chance, because this is like sort of a save, if I could do a charisma check, because charisma is the source of like draconic power?
Okay, you know what? Make a spellcasting check. Make a spellcasting check with your modifier. Yeah.
Okay, 24.
24. Okay. Punching out of the earth, scattering pebbles and grass and weeds and soil in a massive cavalcade-like eruption. We see the head of what appears to be a titan in full draconic form just explode from the earth in front of the cave and open its huge mouth filled with razor-sharp stalactites and stalagmites, and we see cracks open on its throat as molten hot lava churns upward, and out spits multiple huge flaming boulders all across Atatukai Wood. And based on your check, I think when they explode onto the ground and we feel the earth quake and shake and tremor, those whispers from earlier, from that entropic beast of Jukai, of the god shard of Sen, those whispers get whipped up into a pained furor as I think you have hit aspects of this beast based on that roll. And I think we're gonna pan back to the three of you, Abiku, Vasanti, and Shrini, as you're flanking either side of this huge draconic head. And like Shrini like starts to move for her pack, you know, and like cracks her neck, and like lightning starts to spark off of her shoulders as she's preparing for the oncoming fight. And as we like pan away from your trio back into the woods, we sort of hear those voices conglomerate even more. Home, 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 Oka, home, 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 home. And they all sort of like mash together into this like empty, void, dripping form that isn't trying to even pretend to be an aspect of Oka's family anymore. And I think like, what's the last image on the two of your faces as you square off against this beast?
I think Abiku was smiling because she hasn't... I don't think it's happened often, but I'm sure there have been times she had to fight with Shunyi, like, against something. I think she's excited to fight along Shunyi again. She's probably has, like, a giddy school kid smile.
Hell yeah. We pan over to Vasanti.
Vasanti, a little bit wary from that. She's kind of like huffing a little bit, but she holds up her dragon claw hand, and you just see the beginnings of more sort of flame magic swirling in her palm as her face is just like, I'm so ready to kill this thing now.
Yeah, and I think on both of your expressions, set and ready, convicted and resolved, giddy and prepared, cut away from the scene. And on that, we're going to take a break. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning into Arc 8, Episode 2 of The Second Stranger so far. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Love you so much. Shpisho, Bijou. the relief, and the anxiety that settles over all 8 of you after Duran takes that first full breath cannot be so easily encapsulated by mere words. As we sweep down over Camp Vanguard, over the thatched roofs of various tents, over the hide-strung walls of Gurs, over the stables filled with pack animals and horses, over the forges chugging black smoke into the atmosphere, coiling black fingers against a crimson sky, I think we find one person in particular amongst all of these soldiers, all of these weary paragons, alliance members, keepers, staff, loyal warriors. Voska, where are you in camp after all of you work together to save Duran's life?
Voska is finding any tent that is empty, that doesn't have anyone else there, so that she can take 2-3 steps in and immediately collapse onto a pillow or a cushion. She's at a really hard time, and from running for your life to saving a comrade's life, she's worn out. She just kind of just slumps down.
I like that a lot. And I think, however, your lonely reprieve is interrupted quite quickly by someone else entering this tent. Abiku, how do you come in?
I walk in and I'm like, oh, good Vaska. And I just sit down next to Vaska. Okay, so we're all back and that's good, right? But also my wife is here now.
Yes. And I think Voska, like, as soon as you sit down by her, just leans against you because she's tired, but she wants to hear you out.
So,
what about? Is she okay? She was.
I should
on
talk
a
to
wall.
her. Yes.
Yes.
But it's been, I guess, 10,000 years, but like a year of me not knowing. I should tell her about Toktoa.
Who is this?
My wife is Shunid, but I haven't told. Oh, so when I was here, and I tell the Toktoa story. So I should tell her about that. But how are you? You look tired.
I think Voska just heard Toktoa story, wife, and is like processing that, and you're like mentioning whether to tell her, and she's like, no, I believe you should tell her, and talk to her, and then you ask how she is, and she's like, yes, I'm a little worn out. Yes, I did not expect to see Duran in such a state. Just needed a moment to catch my breath. But no, you were asking me a question about your wife and this Toktoa situation.
Yes, it is confusing.
Do you still feel connected to it? Has been 10,000 years. How do you feel?
Oh, I would destroy the world for her.
Oh, I don't. Oh, well. I think you see Voska go, oh, well, I don't think you have anything to worry about.
But I don't know if I destroy her for Toktoa, but like maybe a mountain?
A mountain?
Yes, so that seems like something to explore, but I don't want to. I just don't know how to talk about that.
Didn't I'm sorry, you just told me that the Toktoa broke up with you?
Yeah, but I mean, when I met Shuni the first time, she tried to kill me. Like a lot.
I see. Do you think... I think Voska's trying to process this. Just bringing it up with Shuni might be a good first step.
No, that seems good, yes. But then I have to talk to Shuni, and now here we are. What if I spent the war in here?
Abiku,
Mm-hmm.
we have spent a great amount of time in the same tent together. I am more than happy for you to do so. But don't you think she deserves an answer?
No, yes, you are right, but it just feels like I got to my memories back, and then I was like, okay, well, she's gone, but now she's back. But it's like we're back in the same place again, where there's this whole big war thing we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I think you should do? And coming through the flap is Costas, who exhaustedly plants themselves down onto a cushion and like looks at the two of you. There's like a kind of like wide and raggedy expression in their face, you know, and they keep touching vertically down their nose where flesh meets ice, like they're remembering what it felt like to be pulled apart by oblivion. But their eyes like rest on you, Abiku. I'm in camp. Don't tell anyone anything. You know, you just got Shani back. You can just sort of like, you know, just sort of like be together, without discussing anything. What? I mean, sometimes when you make something, when you talk about something, you make it real, and when something's real, it can die. So
that started as a very Costas thing to say, but it ended as not a Costas thing. So that's growth.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I've definitely grown. And they like worry their thumb against the seam on their chin.
I think Voska. This is the side of Voska that I think comes out more with Strike Team A, where she's like being more forward and casual with the both of them, and she says, "That is also very uncharacteristic of you, Costas." And then she goes, "No, that is not the point, though. Yes, when you say things that mean a lot to you, it can make it real, yes, but you love her. Don't leave anything unsaid. Don't hide it. Don't cower in fear, Abiku. You love her. What else matters? Truly."
This is why I came to you. You are so smart. Costas, come here. Why are you sitting over there? Come here.
You know what? I actually have to, I'm really hungry, so I'm just actually gonna go.
Big lady arm pull. Come here. And I put my arm around both of them. Now, I know for you two, this could be scary. I don't know how many wars you've been in or for how long, but I have some experience. And I just want to let you know that I won't let anything happen to either of you, okay? I love you two, too.
I know, Abiku.
I think you hear Voska like process that, and she's just like, "I have not been in any wars. This is the only one. I was a traveling bard up till a year ago. And I love you too, Abiku. But it's not just you protecting us all. With Strike Team A, Costas and I have your back." And Voska's just volunteering Costas.
Yeah.
Just casually.
Totally. Costas clears her throat and goes, "Yeah, obviously we care about you. You know, we're all friends and stuff. But, listen, look, Abiku." And they sort of, like, wiggle their way out of your hug.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, like, 2 hot ladies who want to sleep with you, okay? As far as I'm concerned, that's not a problem. You know, so I'm gonna get some food.
Okay.
And Costas just gets up and leaves.
What's up with them? Well, I guess they got split in half.
I'm very worried about him, Abiku.
Well, I don't think me making fun of Costas will help right now, so you probably should talk to them.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, they got like ripped in half and then put back together, so I don't know. That's like a lot. I can't really process it, and I have the whole wife thing.
I think you see Voska glitch as she hears like part of your comment of, I think that what would have been if a Voska response was like maybe a a soft chest chuckle, but that doesn't happen. It's just like a weird glitch. And instead she goes, yeah, no, I should speak to them. You, and she holds your hand, you tell Shunyi everything.
I will make sure to do that. I wanted to ask you, what happened with you and Costas down in the chasm? Things seemed different when we came back, when me and Oka got back.
Costas seemed very upset that they could not be keeper of Nebuza. And I lost my voice and could not explain that I had no control or power over that choice.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, I don't think Costas would have been a good fit either.
I think Abiku, if you will allow Biku, will grab your hands a little tighter. I think you should talk to Costas. I don't think it's about being keeper.
We also spoke about what they mean to me, and I told them the truth. That both you and him you're both my rock, my foundation. And I think she leans into, we're holding hands, and she kind of leans her face against both your hands. I don't know what I would do without the both of you. Especially in Tungal.
Abiku kind of tilts your head to look up at her. Vasca, my friend, you should really clarify to Costas what you mean. I'm going to go talk to Shunyi, okay?
Okay.
And then, I get up and leave.
Vasca sits there dumbfounded.
And we pulled a black on that scene.
Hey everyone! Wow, we sure are going through it, huh? Well, right here in this ad spot, we are not going through it. We are safe, we are secure, and nothing can get us here. Except this ad that I'm reading to you. It will be coming for you right now. Do you like watching me play a big lady in actual plays? Then I have good news for you. I'm playing a big lady right now in a miniseries called Siren Song, sponsored by Evil Hat Games. It is an all-black Monster of the Week actual play show going on over on the Friends Who Roll Dice Twitch channel. We actually just started yesterday, Friday the 13th, ooh, spooky, and we're going to be going every week for a few weeks, every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for listening to this ad and staying with me here in this safe ad space. We're not going through it, and nothing's going on, and no one can get us, and no one can hurt us, but I'm so sorry because the ad is ending, so you're gonna have to go back. But I have good news. You're going back to a special Jinta Oka bonus scene unlocked thanks to your generous donations in our premiere. Enjoy!
On that same evening, after Jiran's soul is stabilized and the 8 of you settle into Camp Vanguard, we are gonna pull in to the darkened fringe of the settlement. Here, the stench of the stables is thick. Manure, hay, saddle oil. The low whinny of horses presses a rather comforting rhythm under the sinister red glow of the eyes above. And I think it is here that we find you, Gentle, wandering the perimeter of the stables with Bud in tow. I think, however, your easy ambulation is suddenly interrupted by a loud noise.
Fuck off! I said get the fuck out of here! Go! Get lost!
Oka? Is that you?
Oh, fuck. I think through a bunch of rocks and trees and grass, you see Oka's little form kind of pop out from behind a rock where they were basically hiding from everyone and anyone, even though they were yelling as loud as they could. And I think maybe 10 feet in front of them, Sitara, their elk, still with that little metal bracer over its knee, is standing there with no saddle, no bridle. It's kind of hitched over Oka's shoulder, and the saddle is at their feet. And I think the elk is just staring at them.
Am I interrupting something? Are you okay?
Gentle, I'm just trying to... And they gesture at the elk, who I think is just standing there staring at them, not moving. And they turn back to the elk. You are not a war animal. Get out of here. Go. Shoo. There's a fucking gigantic direwolf right there. You're not gonna run? Go.
The elk dispassionately chews on some grass and just kind of flicks an ear at you.
I don't think they're going. I think they kind of want to stay here with you.
Yeah, but anyone who's... We're in a lot of danger right now, Gentle. I'm trying to save anyone I can.
I'm going to ask a question. Can I see the thread between the elk and Oka?
When you focus your energy, Gentle, and you sort of like winnow down your field of view so it's just Oka and Sitara, everything else seems to sort of fade and fuzz at the edges. The smell of the hay bleeds into nothingness, and it's just the antlers of this elk and Oka's scarred form. And you see it. A thread extending from the center of Oka's solar plexus, floating gently over to Sitara. They're linked.
Hey, Oka, so it's been a little bit, but I can see the thread between you and Sitara. You two are linked.
I took its halter off. What do you mean, the thread?
So, as a keeper, one of the things I can kind of see is like the threads that connect everyone. Sort of, kind of like relationships, care. That sort of manifests as these little like threads. I like try to make a hand gesture of threads to make sure it's conveyed in some way. But yeah, I can see that you and Sitara have one, and I understand being super afraid for everyone's well-being, but don't think you're gonna break it?
Very Morosan of you, Gentle. And Oka walks over, I think, and stops a few feet short of Gentle. Looks kind of back at Bud. So, what do you do when you're trying to protect a thread that's important to you?
I also look over at Bud. You do your best. It's scary, and there'll be moments that'll be stressful, and you'll care, and you'll be really, really afraid. Hopefully, Sitara won't get kidnapped by somebody who I don't want to think about, but it's not always easy. But if you care about them and love them, the bond doesn't fade, and you'll do your best to keep them safe.
And I think Oka's eyes kind of turn up toward the red, bleeding sky. I really miss them. And I'm really afraid.
If I may, can I put a hand on your shoulder? That's okay. It is okay to be scared and miss people, and it's a lot. And I think Gentle sort of flicks a gaze up to the sky as well. But we're gonna do this because we have each other and we have everybody here. We're all linked.
You know, I don't really believe a lot of what people tell me when I'm freaked out, but I believe you.
Well, you said I was your hope, so.
Thank you, Gentle.
Oka, Sitara turns and nuzzles their big furry cheek against the side of your shoulder, sort of boring their entire weight against you. And at the same time, Bud also comes up to Gentle and sort of presses their big gray, white, fluffy fur against their friend's side. And these two companions kind of nuzzle you both.
Tara, your breath smells like hay.
And Satara, you swear, stomps a little bit and like misses your foot by like 3 centimeters. And then it whinnies. And without even looking at you as if for like permission or anything like that, this elk sort of nudges its way back toward the stables in the opposite direction of where you were trying to get it to go off to. And it like sort of swishes its tail a little bit and like pauses, I think, at like the front of the stables and turns, almost as if like asking you like, are you gonna come and feed me some sugar cubes or what?
Really not bothered by the end of the world, are they?
Well, I mean, rather have you at the end of the world than no one. And maybe we can figure out some elk armor. Who knows?
You know, I have been talking to Dewey about dog armor. And Oka, I think, extends their hand out for Gentle to take.
Gentle
to walk
takes
together
it.
back toward the stable. And hand in hand, I think they walk back toward the stable.
And I think on that, like, we close down and fade away from this scene. And we come up on a different scene entirely. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Arc 8, Episode 1 of Transplanar RPGs, The Second Stranger. Let's get right back into it. Here are content warnings for this episode and the campaign in general. They may include fantasy violence, apocalypse, trauma and grief, depictions of war, body horror, gore, blood and bloodletting, death of loved ones, familial struggles, complex and complicated relationships, romance and references to sexual entanglements, monsters and monstrosity, and eldritch abominations. So use !CW in chat to look at our content warnings at any time, and !safety to get a look at the cast's lines and veils to know what territory we'll never get into no matter how dark things get. So with that out of the way, let's hop right back into the session. Duran. Your vision swims in and out, in and out. Above you, you think, you see a pulsing red sky. Eyes spackle the horizon, irises roving, pupils shrinking and expanding. You are half conscious, half dead, half comatose, half alive. You feel your body being picked up off Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Arc 8, Episode 2 of Transplanar RPGs, The Second Stranger. We're gonna hop right back into the things with a reminder of content warnings. So content warnings for this episode and our campaign in general may include fantasy violence, apocalypse, trauma and grief, depictions of war, body horror, gore, blood and bloodletting, death of loved ones, familial struggles, complex and complicated relationships, romance and references to sexual entanglements, monsters and monstrosity, and eldritch abominations. So use !CW in chat to get a look at our content warnings at any time, and !safety to learn about the cast's lines and veils to know what territory we'll never get into no matter how dark things get. So, with that out of the way, let's hop right back into the session. Snow. Thick and furious. Blizzards across the white plains of Zima Lake. Alabaster powder coats Zima's frozen surface. To the untrained eye, Morose is a dead zone, even when Apocalypse isn't bearing down. But to those born and raised in the commune, we know that dozens of feet underneath the ice, the water teems with life. Fish, shrimp, sharks, barracudas, octopi, squid, even monstrous creatures like winter hydras and finned remorazes. All of these unseen marvels, these worthwhile beads strung along that same thread of interconnected life, are now terrified of the end. Even the animals know something's wrong. The winter snow here is painted red, crimson, bloody from the ever-present vermilion light of the stranger's sky. And Voska, you stand in the middle of this howling, wintry gale, flanked on one side by Costas. The two of you have lured it here, away from the vulnerable settlements of the commune, and now you await its fatal arrival. You even think you can see it. A glitching, twitching silhouette in the distance, blurred by rapid snowfall. A vague, humanoid shape. All black void and sparking limb, a deadly evolution of the black star that impaled Abiku during your first excursion. The entropic beast of the god shard of Netbuza, set to hunt her, to hunt you, Voska. It's too far for you right now to make out any concrete details, or maybe all of this is just a trick of the snow, and it's not even here yet. Either way, as you stand in this whirling gale, this blizzard, Costas turns to you, their hood drawn, fur framing his half-flesh, half-frozen face. You're sure we can beat this thing? Just you and me? Didn't a weaker version of it almost kick our asses the first time we were here?
A weaker version of it did indeed kick our asses, but that was before I was a paragon. And that was also before all of the adventures that you've been on, dear Costas.
Right, yeah, we've gotten stronger. And as they mutter, you sort of see them worrying that line that separates their flesh from the ice. They've been worrying at it ever since Oblivion picked them apart.
Are you alright?
Huh?
I think Voska, while observing this empty beast, Voska has Parable dangling like a pendulum, as if trying to sense where this empty beast is. Stops doing that and reaches out her hand to that area of their forehead, the seam. What's wrong?
Oh, and they clear their throat and look awkward and nervous as you reach out and touch their forehead, but they don't move away from you. It's just, I mean, I know I trust you not to tell anyone about this because it's really embarrassing, but I don't know, just being split in half doesn't feel good. You know, it's a really weird feeling, and I did not like it, and it's still, I guess I can still remember what it feels like.
And I think when Costas retells that, there's a very, very visible wince, shifting of the muscles in Voska's face, hearing that, and she looks back at them and says, I imagine not. And kind of creeps closer and wraps an arm around theirs and threads her hands on Costas's hand. It'll be okay. I will not allow Oblivion to do that to you again.
And Costas kisses you.
Ah! Ah! I think Voska's shocked for a hot second and pulls away. And he goes, Costas, we should talk. Yes.
Yeah, no. You know what? Just forget it. That was, and they let go of your hand. They actually forcibly pull their hand away from yours where you're holding them. That was really dumb. I'm sorry. That was, obviously you wouldn't, I mean, the way you looked at me this is not, obviously you wouldn't want.
No. That's not what I'm trying to say. Costas, you know I care about you. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
You are my foundation. You're my rock. You and Abiku are both truly the few pillars in my life that have kept me tethered to. Gestures to the crimson light that's covering the entirety of our world. In the face of all of this, I do love you, Costas. But but perhaps not in the same way that you're expecting. My love for Atalanta, that bond, that connection, I don't think I can replicate that in this life.
For your war effort roll, Voska, make me a persuasion check.
Oh my Lord Jesus Christ! Thank God I have a plus 17 to this die. Don't fail me now. Don't fuck me on this. That's a natural 17 plus 17. That's fucking
34, baby.
34, baby. Let's bring this back, gang. Let's bring this back.
It's like don't let it break up in the world.
Noted. Costas looks back at you, and you see that his eyes, well, his flesh eye, is brimming with tears, but they don't fall. Not yet. Voska, I'm such a fucking fool. This whole time, I think I've just been trying to date people, trying to sleep with people, trying to fuck people, because I think that's what's valuable about me, I guess. And that's what's gonna break the curse. And this whole time, I don't think I've been able to see you. Just the way you are, just how you care about me, and you as you, not with any sort of sex or romance or any of that bullshit. I guess this whole time I thought, and a part of me still thinks that love is supposed to look a certain way. And the person who cursed me, the witch, I loved her. Voska, I think I still do. I don't know why I treated her so bad, and I don't know how to find worth for myself outside of what my body can give other people.
And I think Voska just shushes Costas and closes the gap between the two of them and just holds the back of Costas' head against her shoulder and neck. She goes, "You are so incredibly valuable. You are my dearest friend. You mean the world to me. And there's what protected us that day in Tongal was not your body or your warrior spirit. It was how much you loved and cared about us and about Dr. Lusso. And you love her, you said? You still do?
Yeah.
I think that's okay. I think love looks like so many things. And the love you have for her is one kind of love, and the love that I have for Atalanta is another. And the love that I hold for you, the love I hold for Amiku, that love is just as important, if not more so, because Costas, and she pulls away, and there's tears brimming on her eyelids. Who am I if you weren't there with me? I could not have made it this far without you or Amiku. And that's the truth.
Thank you, Voska. I feel like such a stupid pig baby. But seriously, thanks. I think I really needed to hear that from you. And you really mean that, right? everything you said. You're not just saying that because you think it's something I want to hear.
Voska shakes her head, holds the sides of Costas's face. Costas, I've done many things in my life. Lying to you is certainly not one of them. I do love you. Very, very much. And places a kiss on Costas's forehead, right at the spot that they keep fussing over.
I love you too. You're my best friend.
And you're mine.
And Costas like touches the part where like their frozen flesh meets their like actual flesh, and there's a pause. You know, I half expected that to work, for that to get rid of the curse, but maybe there's something else, or I don't know, maybe this isn't so bad.
Has anything changed? I'm curious.
Looking at Costas, there's no change. But for the first time in a long time, perhaps ever since you've met Costas, they like lower their hand from where flesh meets ice, and their eyebrows loosen. And then they say, seeing something beyond your shoulder, fuck, I think it's here. And they like reach behind their backs and they draw their twin longswords. And as like the two of you turn and look through this like fluttering flurry of blizzard and snow and ice, you all finally see it in its like full form. Now it's only about like 50 feet away from you, so you can make out details. You see the entropic beast of the god shard of Nitbusa. A glitching, shadowy silhouette that, from your perspective, Voska, looks familiar. It's this jolting, twitching shadow, broad shoulders, these tall, proud, coiled horns moving forward like a revenant through the snow, and there's also the silhouette of the hilt of a trident spearing through the center of this beast's body, and as it walks, you can sort of see the back of the trident beyond her sternum. Extending from this beast silhouette, from the wrists, the ankles, and the top of the head, are these long, long, long black strings that look like they're made of like lines of shifting poetry. Like if you peer closer, you'll realize they're not strings at all, they're words. And they go all the way up, 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 up to the crimson sky. And these strings dangle from one of the stranger's many open eyes in the atmosphere, almost like the anchors of a marionette. And this twitching beast comes ever closer. And Costas, you hear them. It's her. It's her body. How did... And you get the feeling that Costas isn't seeing Atalanta. Seems to be something's fucked up idea of a metaphor that changes shape based on who looks at it. So tell me, Voska, how do you square off against this entropic beast?
Oh, you piece of shit, you shouldn't have done that. I think Voska mutters under her breath, you shouldn't have done that. Holds Costas's hand with her right hand as she's swinging Parable, and she whispers, make them pay, and casts haste on Costas.
And Costas leaps forward, like charging into the murk, and like on Costas, just running. We cut to black. And over black, we hear two voices. What do you think of this one? It's a little on the nose. Could use some refinement, but I think it will do. I assure you it will do. I've seen enough of its Corey's favored keeper
to know exactly how to push their buttons. And they have so many buttons, all three of them. Like God, like Paragon, like Keeper, I suppose. Say, how exactly do you eat the concept of risk? You jeopardize reward, of course. The two-headed serpent coils around the tower of risk and reward. It is an oozing line of serpentine shadow, drooling its corrosive black blood over splintered marble and shattered glass. Its two heads thrash, one on either end of its slithering form. On one head, we see a single swirling green eye cracked open across its featureless face, and on the other, a single yellow eye. Perfect inversions of red and purple. The entropic beast rears its two massive heads, each easily the size of a building, and lets loose a roar that shakes the very foundations of Rasso. The glass of storefronts explode, shards of windows peppering the roads like confetti. People scream and flee, running in every direction away from the heart of Nabal's capital. And at the base of the tower, we find three figures standing strong against this harbinger of apocalypse, this ravenous, gibbering god beast, made to devour divinity itself. One of these figures is Cain. Midnight blue as always, the gold bangles on their horns and wrists flashing as they duck, dodge, weave, and dance their way out of the debris exploding from the tower. Even so, their entire body is soaked with sweat, and their usually perfect hair is stuck to the sides of their face, and they're bleeding also a lot. A deep gash on their left arm, right leg, their rib crumpled with some kind of bruise. And still, their robes remain immaculate, a result of the magic, of course, they've bestowed upon their clothes. After all, Cain, alongside the rest of you two, Oka and Jiran, have been fighting this entropic beast for hours. And as we pan away from Cain, who deftly, I think, back bends out of the way of exploding glass, we're gonna pan across this battlefield to find Jiran. How are you battered and bruised?
I think we see Jiran kind of one hand on the ground as he's been knocked back a little bit, kind of doubled over. In one hand, they have Risk, their version of Cain's dagger that they've been fighting with, and they kind of stand up and move their hand across their jaw, kind of moving some dirt and sweat off of it. And his eyes, his blackberry purple eyes that you can finally see again, looking up at this beast. And I think Jiran's white hair is peppered with sand and rocks and dust as he's been thrown around by this beast all around. They don't have very much stamina at this point, I think, and it shows. And they're just kind of standing there heaving, eyes darting from the creature over to Cain, back to the creature's other head, over to Oka, because I think we've been trying to surround it somehow, and it's not going well.
Yeah, whenever you can't sneak up on something with two heads on either end of its body. It's very hard. So whenever you try to route it, its other head watches out for it, you know? So it's also got two faces, right? You've got three, it's got two, and it's really hard for either side to gain an edge. But in this war of attrition, I think the three of you are losing. And as we pan across this shattered, blasted battlefield, we find Oka. How are you battered and bruised?
Oka's not humanoid anymore right now. I rolled for it. They are wolf. 3 times the size of Bud at this point. I think they're gargantuan. They're almost the size of a house. And their gray fur, kind of wintry colors, is completely streaked with blood and black ichor and gore. and I think they are like huge jaw is like clamped down on like the back scruff or like behind the head of one of these beasts, and they're tearing with this like kind of ferocity, and I think they are pretty immediately thrown off, and they just like crater through one backwards wall, crash through it, roll, and the form just like the fur completely like slips off of them, and they are there. One of their wings is like crumpled in on itself, and Prism behind their head is like turning and turning and turning and click, 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 and I think their face is almost like stuck as a wolf for a moment in this almost like perverse mirror image of the myriad for like a moment where they're just like snapping their jaws in frustration as they have a piece of this like this empty beast in their mouth until they like finally transform back into themselves, spit it onto the ground, and start dragging themselves up using Dream Hunter like as almost like an anchor to push themselves back up off the ground.
Immediately by your side, Kane's there. And they're actually grabbing onto your shoulders and preventing you from pulling yourself up and flinging yourself back into the fray. Oka!
What?
You need to stop!
What? You can't stop. I'm fine. Let me go at it again.
Oka! And Kane reaches down, and we see that you haven't noticed that your right arm is bent in completely the wrong angle. And they're like shaking their head, and without even saying anything, they crack it, I think, forward, back into place, and they're immediately, like, you feel healing magic, like, suffuse your bones. You need to take a break, okay? You need to pause here. Jaron and I have the rest of this covered, okay? You have been battered and bruised and thrashed enough.
I could do it, Kane. I'm fine. I could have done that.
Oka, it wants you. Its real quarry is Vasanti. But if it can get you, it will get you. Just stay here and rest for just 2 minutes, okay?
Not without you. 1 second. Oka takes a step forward, and I would like to use my first 5th level spell slot and cast Temporal Shunt. It has to make a wisdom save. Make a wisdom save, I guess.
Thank you for letting me make a wisdom save. Okay, so it rolled a 6. So you're good.
It folds in on itself. It just like folds into a bunch of squares, and then it's gone for a minute. And Oka's head twitches. We have a few minutes. It's in green open water. My memory of it, I guess. What? Kane, I'm fine.
Are people okay in green open water? And I think like Jaron like walks into this scene and walks over to where they are.
It's a memory of it. It's just in my brain. It's fine.
What's going to eat that memory? I hope you know that.
It's fine. I hated that place.
Or at the very least, it's gonna mess it up and... Well, Oka, if you could have done that earlier, that would have been... But you wanted to bash its face in, didn't you?
It's not gonna stay there forever. If I need a break, then let's take a break.
Is this even really a break when it's thrashing around inside your subconscious, Oka? Throwing yourself at this thing and dying is not going to help anyone, okay? Oka, it's not going to bring his Sagadan back.
I know.
Come on, let's... Not here. If it's going to come back when Oka's spell ends, we should at least take it somewhere where it's better for us.
Clothall Jungle, there's fewer people there.
Kane, are you sure?
Yes.
You haven't been back there since...
I know. But it's clear now that it's not... Obviously, Scott and Nekis aren't there anymore. So, let's go. We don't have a lot of time before Temporal Shunt wears off. And I think we cut to a viridescent jungle. All around you, the broad, leafy fronds of tropical trees, flowers, bushes, etc. We also see, we hear the gurgling of river water in the back. We hear the squelching of your boots over, I think, this perennially wet and rich and fertile and dark soil. And Oka, as you, Jaron, and Kane quickly cut your way through Clothal, you think you recognize certain parts of this forest. You think that's where you were thrown off of your elk. You think maybe that's where that huge, monstrous Ferris wheel of bone used to be. Maybe that's where the haunted Midway was. back when the carnival still was here, but Kane isn't letting any of you linger on the memories here, I think. Like, they're just like pulling and leading the three of you deeper, deeper, deeper until you reach a kind of like natural clearing of sorts, filled with these like thorny bushes all around. And there they finally relent. Here, we're far away enough from the people of Rosso.
Okay, sit, both of you.
Why don't you sit, pretty boy?
Yeah, why don't you sit? Oka obviously
we can
needs
all
to sit, but...
sit.
Fine. And Kane actually breaks off a huge leaf and puts it down so they don't have to sit directly on the dirty ground, and they sit down on the leaf.
Kane, you know that you're already covered in... whatever. Oka sits.
Okay. Kane is right, Oka. You can't keep throwing yourself at monsters. We need you alive. And Kane, you too. We take risks, but not ones that are gonna kill us.
Okay.
No, not just okay. Promise me. Both of you.
You have some twigs in your hair. And Oka reaches out and starts, like, picking some of the dust and grit out of Chiron's hair. And they look down their body for a bit until they get to like this solar plexus area where I think Oka can still feel this frayed edge of a promise that they had made before. I don't really like the idea that somebody could cut us apart.
And I think quieter this time. All of that sort of urgency kind of deflating out of Chiron's body at Oka's touch. Me neither. But that wasn't a real... I mean, it was a real promise, but it wasn't equal. Maybe that was the problem.
No, I don't think it was.
Do you think it could be now, if we did it again?
I think so. But I need to say something to you first, I think.
Anything.
I'm sorry. I left you a lot. And I never apologized for it, not really. And up until a few days ago, I was ready to leave you again. And I don't want to. And I'm not going to. Not this time.
And I think Chiron shifts in a little bit closer and puts their hand over to Oka's chest, exactly where that blood oath, the fraying edges would be, and just kind of like places it there. Let's not ever leave each other again. Not ever.
Can't get away from you, pretty monsters. And Oka looks over at Kane as well.
Well, maybe we won't say never. I mean, in the case that one of us gets bored with the arrangement. I'm kidding.
I think Chiron just kind of like elbows Kane. You're not getting out of this. Come here.
Okay, fine, you two gay lords.
You're just deflecting with humor, Kane.
Would you rather I deflect with violence?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I would.
Yeah, I'm okay, ganged up on. This is not fair.
You would like that, wouldn't you?
You know, between the three of us, I don't think there's any question about who the true bottom is here.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh, okay. No, all right. And I think
you have to stay
Chiron...
still, Oka says, as I think they're taking like a few more like handfuls of hair and they're starting to actually braid Chiron's hair behind them. They shift over.
What are you doing?
Braiding it. You put it up in a ponytail once and I... Anyway, don't you think it would look nice? It'll be out of your face.
Yeah, okay. Kane, why don't you... Come here. And I think Chiron kind of like gestures for Kane to come and sit like in front of them and off to the side slightly, so that Kane is facing towards Oka, who is behind Chiron, who would be behind Kane.
Kane scoots their leaf forward.
You really don't need that. And Chiron pulls up their hand and pulls Kane's hair back and starts to do the same and starts to braid Kane's hair as well.
This is very sweet. Just be careful, because I think a braid might work with my perm in a weird way. You know what? Forget it. Just keep doing it. It's nice. Oka, come here. And Kane reaches forward to braid Oka's hair. You know, I think I have the short end of the stick, given the fact that Oka's hair is really, really, really long, and there's also a halo of blood behind it.
Oh, come on. You can't work with this?
I
thought
can
you were
work with
supposed to be
this.
I thought you were supposed to be the most fashionable person in Rosso.
Obviously, I am. And like they continue to like tug kind of sharply when you say that, but then they like relent and continue to braid.
And I think after a few moments of like silent braiding, Oka just kind of, you know, if this braid gets cut, it'll always grow back. It's kind of nice, isn't it?
That is kind of nice. I mean, until of course braids are out of fashion. But it's okay, I'm not gonna actually like cut it. I'll just like glamour it to hide it. Come on, braids don't go with everything, okay?
What, do we embarrass you, Kane?
You don't embarrass me. I just have to be... Once we save the world and everything's back to normal again, I'm gonna have a lot of fun mixing and matching my outfits, and sometimes they'll include a braid and sometimes they won't. But the two of you will always be right here. And they, like, bring a lock of hair over their shoulder and rest it over their heart.
You're not gonna like this very much, but I promise. And Oka, I think, out of their pocket pulls almost this little thread of blood, I think, that I think ties around the bottom of Duran's braid like a ribbon, and then it solidifies itself into thread.
Duran like kind of like feels this blood thread kind of like tugging at their head a little bit, and they kind of like look back and down at it. And they take sort of their own thread that is hanging off of their horns, and they pull a particularly long piece out, and it feels almost kind of impossibly long as they sort of tug into their newfound connection to the weave in order to sort of like magically elongate it and imbue it with their own magic. And they go to very lovingly and gently sort of like tie a ribbon around Kane's braid as well to tie it closed.
Fine. I see what's happening here. And Kane, I think, also reaches up to their scalp and they like pull out a strand of their own hair, which isn't wavy, actually. It's like straight. And they hand it forward up to Oka's braid and like weave it in. Listen, my secret dies and lives by the two of you. This waviness isn't natural.
Yeah, I know.
But shut up.
And I think as we're sort of like sitting here, Duran kind of breaks out of the circle a little bit, like turns to face in so that he's facing both of them, takes both of their hands, Oka's and Kane's, in their own, and pulls out their dagger. And they say, "Hold still for me, okay?" And they look particularly at Kane when he says that.
Oh, please. Back when I was in the Kusing Guild, we had all sorts of blood torture rituals set up to... Oh!
And yeah, in the middle of Kane talking, I think Duran takes the dagger, the tip of it, and sort of presses it gently into Kane's palm, right where their lifeline is, and then pulls it along the palm to elongate that lifeline. And then does the same to Oka. And then does the same to themselves. And so if you put their hands sort of together in the middle, it's like this one big jagged circle connecting all of their lifelines together with their blood.
Where did you learn that? That's blood magic.
It doesn't actually do anything until you act.
I think you mean until we act. You have to give it something. Some part of yourself. What do you give it?
And I think Duran kind of sits there and thinks for a moment, and then closes his eyes and kind of like leans back a little. And when they're open again, his eyes are like glassy with tears, and he leans in and he cries into each of their palms. I think this would be a manifestation of Duran's grief and care in the way that he has always loved Oka and Kane. Sort of that intensity with which he has always cared about the two of them, and the way in which they have tried to protect their lives, and the sort of the heart-wrenching grief that comes with that.
Yeah, I think as those tears settle over your palms,
Kane looks at each of you, you know, Oka and then Jiran and then back at Oka, and then softly at the two of you at once. All right, then, fine, I'll give something too. And they like lower their eyes to all three of your interconnected palms, and they close their hand into a fist and squeeze. And the two of you feel Kane's resilience flood through your bloodstream. Like I think you even get glimpses of like a small tiefling child crying alone on the street, and we flash to Kane in the shadow of Bloodthirst, and then Kane at the championship challenge angling for Atalanta, and then Kane spearing Bloodthirst through the heart at the top of the tower, and then Kane on the throne, alone, but also not alone for the first time in their life. Their resilience, their determination that has kept them through everything. Every time that they've been knocked down, they've gotten up. And then they unclench their fist, and we see that that line is bright and crimson as always. And then they look at you, Oka.
And Oka's eyes flutter closed for like half a second before Kane and Jiran both feel their heartbeats start to pick up just a tiny bit. And it's almost like being touched by a live wire, but it feels soft and good. And it stutters for a moment before it brings all three of them into rhythm. All of their heartbeats exactly synced up together, all as one. And Oka lets an eyelash fall, like into the center of their palms, just one wish. And they give their willpower and their loyalty. An unbreakable bond, an unbreakable tether, bone deep. And their hearts will always beat the same.
I think the wounds on all three of your palms glow. They literally glow with 3 different kinds of colors. All at once. There's a blackberry kind of black and purple. There's also like a silvery soul-like color from Oka and kind of midnight blue glow from Kane. They glow, and then when the glow settles down, the wound is still there, but it almost looks like semi-healed. Like it's on its way to becoming a scar, but it's still there. No more unasked for sacrifice, either of you. Okay? No more stubbornness when you should be flexible. No more fear.
No
I
more
promise.
fear.
Good.
This thing is eating a boat in my brain.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yep,
let's do
yeah.
it.
Why don't you?
Yeah, okay.
Why don't you let it out?
Yep. All right. And all 8 of the halos like almost line up like it's an eclipse, and then this thing shoots out of their head and back into reality.
I love that. Mark inspiration for that description. I love that. Yep. This 2-headed serpent just out from like the 8 rings of your halo and like explodes through Clothal jungle. It like fells a massive tree that like plummets into like a river, and like water explodes up, and it's like thrashing, both of its heads roiling. And Kane turns to face it, squaring off. And I think we pan back to the 2 of you. And I need the 2 of you to make your war effort roll for me. I think it's about the resolve of your bond. So both of you can choose either insight, religion, or arcana.
I rolled an 8, but I got a 25 total.
I got a gay 20. Which is to say, it's not natural, but it is gay.
Understood. Thank you. Noted. So as this 2-headed serpent explodes into existence in Clothal jungle, we pan back to Kane, who rolls their shoulders, I think like cracks their fingers together, like carries their arms up and over their head, and they sort of like do these, you know, they jump limberly from like one foot to another foot, and then they look ready. And then we pan up to Jiran. How are you squaring up against this beast?
I think Jiran kind of like stands up, and the prosthetic, the sort of the lotus flower that is keeping their prosthetic attached to their arm, they take a petal off of it and they kind of like glide it along the blade of their dagger, and it starts to glow this like sickly green color as they cast inflict wounds onto their dagger, and they are getting ready to sort of like jump at this creature, at this snake.
Nice. And then we pan finally over to Oka.
Oka pulls out Dream Hunter. And then they switch it. They switch their hands. They're ambidextrous. This has been true since Arc 1. They switch it to the hand that has the longer lifeline now. They give the blade one twirl. I'm sorry, I really should have aimed better. And then they leap forward.
Yeah, and I think on that, we're gonna cut down, I think, to black, as the three of you square off against this two-headed serpent. And when we fade up again, we're in a completely different part of Endake. We fade up on Camp Vanguard. Chaos roils on the edges of this settlement. Massive, roving crimson eyes against an even more crimson sky, raining black blood and broken magic. Snarling, seething empty beasts menacing the borders. Alliance mages sustaining the barrier around the camp. We're gonna pull past the oil-slick smells of the mess hall, the black, roiling smoke of the smithy, the hay and manure of the stables to find a private tent nestled in a corner of a Talmadi encampment. We're gonna push through these flaps to find Mercy and Sitlali. Sitlali, Mercy is currently tending to you. I think she sat next to where you are, and she's in the middle of saying, Sitlali, you really don't know how to take a break, do you?
No, I do not, especially at the end of the fucking world, my love.
Just try to take the deep breaths like those clerics told us to, and drink this calming tea, and I'll show you pictures of calming things. Like, they gave me this stack of, look, here's some Tulungan fish, right? They're jumping through a waterfall in this part of the book, and she flips to the next page of like a calming picture book. And here are some Telian frolicking in the Silent Grove. Look how
yes,
calming
Telian
that
in
is.
the Silent Grove is extremely fucking calming to
right,
me.
shit, sorry.
Yeah.
How about this? Look, cute little creatures of the chasm. Manticores and rust monsters, and this isn't helping. And she closes the picture book and sets it aside.
And Sitlali is like trying very hard to relax, but we've met Sitlali. It's 4D chess and mass all day, every day, 24/7. Doesn't turn off. And I think she's just kind of like fidgeting with one of Mercy's javelins. And I think they kind of like stop suddenly and look up at Mercy with the look that says that they've had a thought.
Sitlali, you're supposed to be not thinking right now.
Hey, babe.
Yes, darling?
Did you make that list?
Do the gears in your brain, my dearest, most beloved Sitlali Thornheart, ever stop cranking, if even for a millisecond?
And I think they kind of like pull Mercy in. No, they do not. That is why I am fucking alive.
Well, doctor's orders are for you to rest, and how about this? If by the end of this hour you've proven that you've reached the state of calmness, of relaxation, then I will tell you whether or not I have that list.
Is it gonna take you that long to make the list?
No. I mean,
also, I'm pretty sure, I mean, like, I might be more qualified than that doctor. I was top student for, the entirety of my time in the court.
I am completely assured that you are more qualified than any cleric here, but you still, they do still have a point, so you gotta rest. And look, I'll start making the list now, okay? How about that? I'll start making it now, because I lost the previous list that I definitely made. So I'll write it down now.
Or you can say it out loud and I can write them down so it actually happens this time.
Okay, you know what? Fine. I'll just give it to you right now. If you wait, why? You know what? I don't. Fine. You've been asking for it. I'll give it to you, and if you have to promise though, Sitlali, after I give you these names, you're gonna close your eyes, you're gonna let me put these chilled cucumbers over your face, and you're gonna relax. And not think about anything but how nice it is to relax. Can you promise me that?
Can I relax for 5 minutes and then get back to work?
No, you have to relax for at least the whole day.
Well, depending on how far we're going,
Remember the conversation all of us had, you, me, Gentle, Oka, even Drawn, about trusting each other, relying on each other? You gotta trust us, Sitlali, because we're here for you, and you need to take a break. Please.
But babe, I have a really good idea.
Just she puts her like hands on her hips and like frowns at you, trying to be stern. I know, darling, I know, Sitlali, I know. And she crosses her hands over her chest. And I'll listen to all the incredible ideas you have after today. I'm even gonna give you a list of all of their names. What more could you ask for, right?
I could ask for their current locations because we need to do some traveling. You and I have thoughts about your thoughts.
Mercy sort of looks off to the side, nods a few times, and seems to come to a conclusion internally. And like a look comes over her face that you've not seen in, I mean, you have seen recently, but it almost feels tactical. And she turns and looks at you. Sitlali. And then her hands drop from being crossed over her chest, and like one rests on your knee. Darling, let me put it this way. If you rest, it doesn't necessarily have to be a passive activity.
List first and then we can do that?
Wow. First time in my life that hasn't worked. You know what? Fine. Okay. List first, and then we can rest.
Lots of rest, the way I like it.
Yeah. All day, all night, just nonstop resting.
Should we put I'm just gonna, and they cast silence on the tent.
Love it. Yeah. And Mercy takes a deep breath and hands you a piece of paper and a quill. And we're gonna fade down off of this scene and go to a different one. The Silent Grove is anything but. On the fringes of its emerald-dappled depths, we see empty beasts. Snarling howlers, shivering, quivering tooth spitters, a roaming face stealer with a half-dozen stolen expressions stitched onto its fleshy white hide. The invisible footprints of a hydra flayer forgotten as soon as they're unseen. And still, even with all these roving, gibbering, hungry beasts menacing the misty edges of Too Long, not a single murder paints the green leaves red. We follow a cluster of hands, limbs, torso, necks, a shuddering corpse bolus as it pushes into the grove. And almost immediately, this fog thickens, like clouds descending from the heavens, and within seconds, this empty beast is subsumed. Indeed, here, within the newly established dream shield of the Silent Grove, the people of Too Long are kept safe from marauding empty beasts, from corruptive mother's blood, from even aspects of the apocalypse itself, until, of course, the world is saved or doomed for certain. And its inhabitants, though safe, are kept in a state of perpetual, misty dreaming. And it is within this roiling murk, within this misty weald filled with leaves and branches and bamboo and soil that we find you, Gentle. You've been here before. You've fought your demons, you've wrestled the smallest, loneliest voices in your head, and now you're back, willingly,
following that breadcrumb trail of someone you hope, no, you know, can help. So tell me, Gentle, how do you go about trying to track down Wu Ming?
I think I might set the scene somewhat similar to the last time I was here. So a nice little fireplace, some little haunches of meat cooking. I have a mask again, so I can always offer a trade too. And I think I sit and I maybe recite a little bit of poetry that I have worked on since last seeing Wu Ming, because she encouraged me to do it some more. So yeah.
You're like trying to draw her out with these little low pressure homely amenities, right? And I think the smell of this nice cooking food starts to suffuse the mists. You are in the dream shield, you know this, you're literally dreaming. You know your physical corporeal body is somewhere in the Silent Grove sleepwalking, but here in your own mindscape, you set a scene that's, well, gentle. And I think as the moments eke on to seconds, eke on to minutes, eke on to what? Has an hour passed at this point? But you sit there rather, biding your time, waiting, patient. Finally, you hear something. You hear someone, rather, who wants to make their presence known because you hear a twig snap.
Hey. Hopefully it's you. It's been a while, but I kind of just want to say hi for a second.
Gentle? What are you doing here?
Well, honestly, I kind of need some help. But also, I just have missed you a bit, and I did want to say hi.
And we swivel around to see, at the edge of this encampment, a half Kenku person. They have like a humanoid face, and the edges of their face are kind of feathered and black, almost like Howl from Howl's Moving Castle, like half transformed, with these oil slick feathers raking up and back to form this long black hair, and these arms, full arms with talon-like fingers and claws, with feathers rippling off of their forearms, and these almost like kind of talon-like feet as well. Wu Ming. But there's something about her face that's like strikingly beautiful, almost. And yet, like, after you look at them and then look away, it's almost like you kind of forget what they look like a bit. Like, even though they're very beautiful, it's almost in like an understated, some might say forgettable way. But only some. Wu Ming stands there, cupped, I think, in the palm of shadows, surrounded by mist. You missed me?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, a good amount. I mean, like, I kept up writing poetry, like you recommended. And yeah, I even defend you from Mercy being, Mercy. Yeah, I miss you.
Thank you. I missed you too. Oh no, you're not here because you're lost, are you?
No, came in here willingly.
To find me? Just to say hello to me when the world is ending? I don't understand.
Well, it is twofold. I do need help. We need help, the Alliance and everyone else. But also, if the world might end, it is important to me that I do see some of the people who matter to me.
I matter to you?
Yeah.
I don't matter to anyone.
I mean, I gave you my mask. That's significant to me, at least.
Your mask. Your mask. Your mask. And she turns around, and we see that she's strapped your mask almost like at the base of her neck, and has like adorned it, has essentially bedazzled it with like pebbles and coins and stuff.
It looks good. I like it. I have a new one, but like that one's the mask. Like
a new one.
Yeah.
And she's immediately at your side now. Like you don't even hear her approach. She's like, it's almost like she teleported and she's right by your side and she's like looking at you kind of intensely. New mask? Where?
Yeah. So I got this one when I was in Vasanti, and they show the mask with like adorned with the 3 different colors.
Colors of
Yudabathi. Do you worship Yudabathi?
No, but a lot happened there, and I was in a fighting pit happened. It was a weird couple of days. But no, in fact, I'm more of, I guess, I work with Nitbuza.
You smell like her.
Good?
Like thread, and ice, and frozen things, and stories around a campfire.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I do like a lot of those things. And speaking of thread, I can kind of see and feel little threads between things and people now. Can help sort of keep people together or, help people out. It's kind of nice, actually.
Wow, that's amazing, Gentle. You're amazing. There's no way I can help you or the Alliance. I wish I could, but I'm just not really good at anything except hiding. And
No. I came here to find you, specifically. There was one person I only could think of to help, and it was you.
I don't understand, but the only reason people want my help is to get through the Dream Shield, or to steal things, I guess, or to hide.
No. I can't properly state how much you helped with me getting past the Dream Shield, or just, I guess, opening up to other people too. Maybe the first person outside of like the Hounds that I actually I think I could consider a real friend. You're important to me, and I wanted to find you.
Oh. Are your other friends still very messed up?
Yeah, but so am I. We all kind of are. That's kind of how life goes sometimes.
That is true. Gentle, You are keeper of Nitbuza now. And I don't understand that. I don't understand how you can make a promise to a god and keep it. What if you fail and let everyone down?
Then at least I gave it my best shot. But I'm not trying to fail. I'm going to do everything I can. And I think that's what all of us are doing.
I'm scared to help, Gentle. I'm scared because if I admit I can help, then people are going to expect things from me. They're going to have these expectations placed on me, and I don't know if I can live up to that.
If Wuming is okay, I want to put like a reassuring hand on her shoulder. I've been there a lot, actually. And I've learned that I can't do everything, and I would never ask you to do everything. And you can just do what you can, and that's enough. Helping is good, and with you we could help save everybody. And you don't have to be a big hero forever. You can help us do this one thing, and you can come back here and relax and rest, and that's okay. No one will think any less of you.
Gentle, for your war effort roll, please roll persuasion.
Bless. Okay. That's a 17. That's really good. That's great for me.
Noted.
Noted that.
Okay. Wuming looks at you and nods once, twice, almost like a bird pecking at seed, and then unexpectedly flings herself forward and hugs you in a flutter of black feathers.
Reciprocate the hug, obviously.
And then she just as abruptly breaks away, almost kind of violently, flapping her wings, almost like she's gone overstimulated almost immediately. Thank you. I can help. For you, for the world, for Mercy, for you. I want to help my friend.
Thank you. And honestly, this also means we can absolutely gloat in Mercy's face. Speaking of, actually, there's a group that I might need help with later if you want to join it. We can talk about it after the world's saved, but gonna start my own thing?
Yes, I join.
Perfect.
Okay, then here in the Dream Shield, you want to try to find the tether. Yes, to your friend, Hisagaten?
Absolutely.
I can maybe show you how to start doing it. We can prepare a little here before we go back to Camp Vanguard.
That sounds perfect.
Hands. And she lifts up her feathered hands and holds them out for yours.
I offer mine.
She like curls her fingers around yours and takes it in a deep breath and exhales. Takes in a deep breath and exhales again. And I think, Gentle, from your perspective, everything sort of goes gray as you close your eyes. And like you start to focus on the threads. Even though your eyes are closed, you can see them. Dozens, hundreds, thousands, millions of threads representing the connections we all have with each other. And you very easily, I think, are able to pick out the one binding Oka and Dr. Aluso. And Wooming's there too. It's just sort of a backdrop of the two of you holding hands, and all around you is black and just these threads everywhere. And Wooming goes, "That's the one. Let's focus on it. Pull it toward us." As we pull on it, pull on it, pull on it, you feel them. For the first time since they got folded inside Oblivion, you think you feel Dr. Aluso. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that really fascinating? Truly, I mean, what is this place? It's so misty. Are these clouds or trees? But it doesn't seem like we're in the sky.
Dr. O?
Exactly. And Gentle, I think you like are pulled out of yourself as we continue to narrate and feel this greater presence in this place that I've never quite been before, I think. I've heard tales of it, certainly. Stories of it, but I've never been here myself. What is this? The Silent Grove. That's right. That's it, but not exactly even the Silent Grove. This is what? The Dream Shield? And what's this? Bar. Off to the side here. Let's see. What? Some sort of tracker? Some sort of tally? Oh, but you're not doing very well, are you? Let me just move this off to the side. And based on everyone's war effort rolls, Doom is going to strike. I'm gonna roll a d8, and we're gonna see what happens. It was an 8! That means I get to roll twice, and 2 things happen. Okay. Above Andake, we get a bird's eye view of everything. To the north of the southeastern quadrant of the Godspine, we see the tangled collection of tents that is Camp Vanguard. We see the sweeping forests of Jukai along the eastern seaboard. We see Zima Lake up north. We see this protrusion of the Paluto Weald. We see the 3 islands of Uhanahi to the south. We see the body of the stranger itself, still clawing its way out of the Euclid Chasm. And we see one of its hands, which is also a blade, which is also a pillar, which is also a tower, which is also a hand, come down onto the top of the Godspine, right above where Dabathati is, and wrench, peak by peak, mountain by mountain, the entirety of the Godspine is pulled out of the earth, lifted up into the sky by this single huge hand, and crushed. And we see exploding in the sky, covered by crimson light everywhere, the mountain, the greatest mountain range in all of Andake, shatter into dust as it's uprooted from the earth, exploded and disintegrated into nothing. But that's not all.
even as the god's spine crumbles all around us in these huge plumes of dust. There's a noise like, well, it's hard to describe. It sounds like wind whistling. What is that? Sizzling? What is that? Dust blowing across glass as the Hema Sea evaporates. And we're going to end the session there. So that's been Arc 8 Episode 2 of Transplanar RPG The Second Stranger. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've been your GM and creative producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me all across the internet at by Connie Chong, BYCONNIECHANG. My pronouns are they, he, and she. I think I said that already. I'm going to pass along our introductions up and over to Austin.
Hey, I'm Austin. My pronouns are he, they, she. I played a Biku Ishchar, whose pronouns are she, they. You can find me on Twitter at Taylor Austin, that's Taylor SCT Austin. I make game and stuff and things and places. Twitter. Val?
Hello, everyone. My name is Valiant. Platonic love matters, Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. And platonic love does indeed matter in the face of apocalypse. I'm a teacher RPG performer and Twitch variety streamer. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Spiritbear. Tonight I played Bosca, Paragon Abuser, witnesser of terrible, terrible apocalyptic things. There.
Hi, I'm Dare. I wasn't here for long, but I did gay shit and then the world exploded. So I don't know if that's my fault or not, but hi, I'm Dare. Pronouns she, they, they. You can catch me on all parts of the internet over at Dare to Dream RPG. That is DARE, the number 2, DREAM RPG. I'm a writer, performer, a war-dominated performer now. I should add that to my things. I do things on the internet, and I mostly look cute while doing them. I'm going to throw this over to Erica.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erica, she, her pronouns, and I played Vasanti Nakshurzo, also she, her pronouns. And you can find me on Twitch as a streamer. If you want to see me play a gay cowboy who's also a medic, come watch me at Erica Please on Twitch. That's Erica PLZ Please. Max, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play Dewey Quirk. I don't even have a funny joke for this time. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Starchmonger. I'll pass things to Hamda.
The Hema Sea is dry. What's at the bottom? What's at the bottom of the Hema Sea? Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Hamna. I use any and all pronouns. I do tabletop shit. Follow me on Twitter at @HShyth_ where I do tabletop shit. Let's see.
This is like in Minecraft where you just flatten your server. This is, I think, what the stranger is doing. Hi, everyone. My name's C. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me making very trans gay art on the internet. Thank you for being here. I've played Oka Hien, who's totally normal, having a good time. That's it, Connie. You want to be the fourth wall again? You want to break the fourth wall again? Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. So thank you all so much for tuning into Arc 8 Episode 2. We have 6 more episodes for this grand finale arc of The Second Stranger. Tune in next Saturday for the continuation of this ridiculousness. Saturdays at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. That's when we stream. We're going to be rating someone really awesome right now, no doubt. Give them a follow if you like their stuff. Tell them a Transplanar sent you. Use the raid message in chat. We'll see you next week right here for the continuation of this series. Goodbye. We love you. Shpijo. Bijo.